I'm James Himm Mitchell, and I'd like to welcome you to the Oracle Outlook. In this video, I'll be doing an angel card reading for the week starting May the 30th, 2016, so stay tuned. And here we are with the cards on the table, and I just want to take a moment to introduce the decks that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading. From left to right, I'm going to be pulling a card from the Archangel Oracle cards, and this card is going to serve as the foundation or the theme of the week. And then moving to the next deck, for the reading itself, it's going to be 3 cards from the Angel Therapy Oracle cards. They are by Doreen Virtue. And then I'm going to round out the reading by pulling a final card from the Archangel Power Tarot cards. And this deck is by Doreen Virtue and Radleigh Valentine, and it has the artwork by Bedrick. All the decks on the table are by Hay House. And so now we're going to move to looking at the foundation and the basis for the week with the Archangel Oracle cards. And turning my attention to the Archangel Oracle cards, I'm going to take the deck in hand, and I'm shuffling, and I'm asking Spirit and the angels, what do we need to know in terms of the theme or the foundation for the week that's going to serve and support us? Take that card. And our card is Teaching and Learning. Okay, so this is Archangel Zadkiel, and the card reads, keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So this is going to be a week where we are going to be teaching and learning. So life is our greatest spiritual teacher. That is my opinion. And so everything that we experience is designed to teach us something, and is all designed as lessons for us to learn. So this is going to be the week where every experience that you have, you might want to consider the question in the back of your mind would be, what is this here to teach me? What am I meant to learn from having this experience? And that could be with a person, that could be in a situation, that could be any kind of experience. Is all designed to teach you something. It's said in spiritual circles that Earth is a school. So, you know, you may have heard the expression of the Earth School. So that's where I get this kind of energy from. Now, going with the idea here that the angel on the card, Zadkiel, is actually holding a book. For some of us, it may be actually, you know, embarking on a new course of study, you know, learning something new. It could be that you are maybe even taking some course or getting some certification in a modality or some kind of material that is actually going to serve you in your role as a teacher, and you're going to teach that to other people, because I'm seeing that energy. So it could be something that you're going to learn, but at the same point in time, you're going to use that material to teach that to other people. So I'm also looking at the book, and so the book could actually be, you know, reading up on something. So it could be like you have an experience, or, you know, you need some information, you need to read up on something just to become more informed. So it could be that. It could be just as simple as reading up on something. It could also be that somebody watching this video is, you know, working on a project, maybe even a book of some kind, and it could be something that is meant to inspire people, because I'm looking at Zadkiel holding a torch. So I'm seeing that as, you know, as light, as, you know, fire energy is, for me, is like all about passion. So it could be something that you're passionate about, but it could also be something that's meant to inspire people. And as I'm looking at the torch being raised, it could be, you know, inspiration and something uplifting for other people. So it could also be, too, could be something that you've been carrying a torch for, I'm seeing that kind of energy. And so it could be like maybe a project you put aside. And so maybe now you're feeling inspired. Your energy for it has been raised. And so now you're being asked to come back to it. It could also be too that, keeping with the idea that the book is open, it could be that this may be the week where you share information with other people, because I'm getting the idea of like being an open book. So it could be like this may be a week where you present some information to people, and you're standing in your truth. You're saying this is what it is, that kind of thing. You're being authentic. You're standing in your truth, but you're sharing something that may be of a personal nature, but it could be designed to inspire some people in the public. It could be like, taking your own personal story and letting that be something that inspires people. Kind of like maybe like, an autobiography or a memoir, or could even be in this day and age that maybe you share that, publicly on social media. I'm seeing like maybe if you're a blog writer, a blogger, that you share that on a blog, something like that. But it might be finding ways to get your story out, because I'm a big believer that everybody has a story to tell, and so you may be feeling inclined to share yours, but it's designed with the emphasis of inspiration, upliftment, and teaching people something that may be helpful in their own lives. I'm seeing that kind of energy. So that for me is teaching and learning. And as I was about to kind of exit out, the last thing I want to say, and this is just personal for me, anytime I see books, no matter what kind of deck I'm using, books could be, a pun for, being a card reader. So there could be those of us who are card readers. It could be like maybe learning a different kind of card reading system, teaching the card system that you are well known for, maybe the one that you have been inspiring other people to learn. Like maybe that's a happy accident. Like maybe you've been putting your kind of material out there for people to see, and it inspires them and they want to learn more, or they appreciate the way that you present your card reading style, and they find that's an easy way for them to learn, and so now they're inspired by that. So it could be like that is giving you the motivation or the inspiration to maybe put what you have been kind of teaching people without really labeling it like that, but maybe you can kind of maybe create a framework and turn that into a course of study that's going to serve even more people than the people that you're currently serving now. But I'm seeing that as people embarking on, either moving into becoming a card reader and working with that, and then finding the system that works with you the best, and or that you are already an established card reader and maybe taking your reading practice to the next level. Whichever the case may be, you're being called to call on Archangel Zadkiel to help you with your learning in that regard. And as I'm saying that, you also might want to consider calling on Archangel Raziel, because Raziel is all about helping people work with esoteric subject matters, and so that may be something else for you to consider. So this is teaching and learning and Archangel Zadkiel. And so now we're going to move to the reading using the Angel Therapy cards, pulling 3 cards from that deck. And now turning my attention to the Angel Therapy Oracle cards, I'm going to take the deck, I'm going to shuffle, and as I do, I'm asking Spirit and the angels, what do we need to know about the week ahead? And I'm looking for cards that stick out. Like that card. That card's going to represent the beginning of the week. Second card represents the middle of the week. And then the last card represents the end of the week. So for the beginning of the week, we have clear yourself. The card reads, ask the angels to release any toxic energies you may have absorbed. So for me, this just represents taking the time out to ask yourself if you're holding on to anything that may be not serving you anymore, that may not be in your best and highest good, that you may have been trying to release and maybe having some challenge or some difficulty around that. So the first angel that you could consider calling on to help you with this would be Archangel Michael, of course, because Archangel Michael helps us cut any cords to any unhealthy attachments and any negative energetic connections that we may have. So we can call upon Archangel Michael to help us cut the cords, to help us release that. We could also call on Archangel Raphael to help us do any kind of detox, emotionally speaking, from any situations. And with that, as a backup, also call upon Archangel Uriel, because Archangel Uriel also can help us with healing emotionally sensitive issues. It could also be, since I mentioned Archangel Uriel, we could call upon Archangel Uriel to help us illuminate, because for me, Archangel Uriel is the angel of illumination. Help us illuminate what may be the reasoning for us to hold on to energy that is no longer serving and supporting us, because there may be some explanation that we may need to have in terms of that helps us become more enlightened or aware. And I'm a big believer in awareness being the first step, and so once we become aware of why we may be holding on to it, that can help serve us in releasing it and letting it go. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. And also, Archangel Uriel for me is the psychologist angel, so there may be a psychological undercurrent to that holding on. And so that could also become the energy, once we become aware of it, that could help us let it go once we become aware of why we may be holding on to it. So Archangel, I mentioned Archangels Uriel, Raphael, and Michael. And then the other angel that could help us in terms of clearing would be Archangel Metatron, because Archangel Metatron for me is the angel who can help us clear our energetic field. So there's 4 angels that could help us with this idea of clearing. But the idea here for me too is, as I'm looking at the words clear yourself, it could be like, just becoming more clear on who you are. We may be looking at things in terms of the other person, we may be looking at it in terms of the environment, we may be looking at it in terms of this circumstance, but whatever the situation is, or the situations are, it could be like you being asked to take a look at yourself. The more clear you become on who you are, why you think the way you think, why you emote or react and respond the way you do, that can go a long way. So I'm thinking, like, in terms of it, yes, on the one side I'm seeing this as being clear on clearing yourself, your energetic field from certain situations, people, environments, because they may be too harsh, or they're no longer serving and supporting you. I'm seeing that. But also too is like, how can you work on becoming more clear on who you are and maybe why you are thinking, believing, and feeling the way you are about certain things, because there may be like you becoming more clear on yourself, and that may be why Archangel Uriel stepped in. The more clear you become on yourself, then maybe that can go a long way in changing the way certain things unfold in your life. So I'm seeing that, because I'm a big believer in, when we make a change, we believe that we're changing something externally. But what really happens is that we're changing the way we think about it, we're changing the way we feel about it, and that actually changes the way we perceive it. And so we may think like, yes, the other person changed, or there's been a change in the environment, or there's been a change in the circumstance, and that may be partly true. But the real truth is that you've changed. And as you work on becoming more clear on who you are and changing yourself, then your world changes. That idea of like, change your thinking, change your life, or change your thinking, change your world, that kind of energy is like, yes, that's where it starts. Is once you work on becoming more clear on yourself and changing yourself, that's when your externals change. So I'm seeing that as the beginning of the week with clear yourself. For the middle of the week, we have Ascended Masters. Okay, so Ascended Masters could be, again, not just your angels and the archangels that I mentioned with clear yourself, but it could also be, calling in your spirit guides and your Ascended Masters. And the beautiful thing about the Ascended Masters card is that it has the Ascended Masters from all different spiritual paths. Every spiritual path has a person who we consider to be wise, we consider to be enlightened, we consider to have achieved some divinity with the Creator in some way. And then the beautiful thing about the Ascended Master is that the Ascended Master has chosen to, in some form, teach and enlighten us. And that's a nice way to bring the teaching and learning card back into this portion of the reading, because that's what an Ascended Master does. Ascended Master, going with the idea that Archangel Zadkiel, and I'm going to move the card down for a moment, Archangel Zadkiel is holding a book. There is, with every spiritual path, there is some sort of sacred text that has been used as a way to teach the lessons that the Ascended Master has learned. So it could be in the middle of the week. There are a couple of ways for maybe you to consider connecting with your Ascended Master, the one that you feel is in alignment with your spiritual path. Because we're all not walking the same spiritual path. So I want to honor that. So whatever spiritual path that you are walking, it could be that you are called in the middle of the week to maybe look at a sacred text that is in alignment with that particular Ascended Master, and look at that in a way of like, what can you learn from taking the time to read that text? How can that text become, for lack of a better way of explaining, how can that become a manual for your daily living? Because that's really what it is that the sacred text is teaching you how to live in this physical world. And I said with the teaching and learning card, every experience we have is an opportunity for you to learn a lesson that is designed to help you grow and evolve spiritually. And that's what each Ascended Master on this card has done. They have grown and evolved on their spiritual path through their experiences when they were here in this physical world. And so they're saying, we've done that, and you can do that too. So in the middle of the week, you could be reading sacred texts, but you could also be connecting with your Ascended Master, whichever the one that you feel in alignment with, either through prayer, meditation, any kind of contemplation, that kind of, any kind of activity like that, where you're quiet, you are still, because I'm seeing the phrase in my head, be still and know. So I'm seeing that. It could also be that you may, if you're a dreamer like I am, you may have contact or connection with your Ascended Master or Spirit Guide in a dream, and they may be offering you a wise lesson that is for you and you alone, especially if it comes in dream time, that is for you alone. Or you may become aware of a message from your Spirit Guides or your Ascended Masters that you are meant to share with the world, because now I'm seeing something like Esther Hicks and Abraham, so I'm seeing that kind of energy. So it could be like you receive a message that is meant not just for you, but for the world at large, and then you're being asked to share that message in a certain way, because that's what all the Ascended Masters and the enlightened beings, that's what they have done. They have taken their what they have taught, or what they have learned rather, and then shared that message as a way to teach the rest of us. So it could be like you come in contact with a message, or a message, particular kind of teaching resonates with you that is in alignment with a spiritual teacher, and then you are being asked to share that message. So I'm seeing that as a possibility for the middle of the week with Ascended Masters. So the other thing, like I said, is like you could become more aware of your ascended master through meditation. So it could be like you coming up with a meditation or finding a guided meditation or visualization that helps you become connected or form a more deeper connection or bond to that particular ascended master. As I was about to move on to the next card, that popped in, and so I didn't want to overlook that. So now moving to the end of the week, we have fairies. Okay, this is an interesting week. We have angels, we have ascended masters, now we have fairies. Okay, the card reads, you have a strong bond with the fairies and your life purpose involves helping Mother Nature. So for me, fairies represent nature's angels because they are very closely connected to the earth. So it could be some of us, and going with the idea of teaching and learning being the foundation or the overall energy of the week, could be some of us are being inclined to actually learn more about fairies, read up on fairies, that kind of neat thing. I'm seeing in my head, I know that Doreen Virtue has now started teaching people how to become fairyologists. So could be somebody watching this video maybe feeling the urge to take that and maybe kind of was hesitating or waiting. So this could very well be a message to you that you may need to consider looking into that more deeply, taking that on. You know, if you're not considering being a fairyologist, then the fairies are wanting to work with you in some capacity. Could be if you are, let's say you are an angel card reader, then you may be getting the message or the guidance to kind of maybe consider adding fairy card readings to your practice. It could also be too that the fairies are calling you to do some work with Mother Nature in some way. So it could be like you are really keen on doing something with the environment, doing something with animals in that regard. And as I'm saying that, Archangel Ariel is stepping in because Archangel Ariel is closely aligned with Mother Nature. I call her the environmentalist angel. So she is closely aligned with Mother Nature and the animals. She's also known as, or her name translates to the Lioness of God. So she's also very closely connected to the animal realm as well. So, you know, in addition to the fairies, you could also call on Archangel Ariel to assist you with moving you further, you know, one step further down that path if that's of interest with you. And if you feel like that's your life purpose, you can also call on Archangel Michael to assist you on becoming more clear on what the next step is for you in that path. And it's very interesting that I mentioned Archangel Michael in connection to Archangel Ariel because they are both known as like warrior type angels, like protective type of energy. So it's very interesting that Archangel Michael kind of stepped in with Archangel Ariel. Of course, there are no accidents, but I find that very interesting. So there's something about, you know, the idea of like protection. So going back to clear yourself, you know, it could be like if we consider the idea, because I mentioned Archangel Michael on this end, and so maybe that's why Archangel Michael popped in again on this end, could be like looking at the idea of clearing yourself from negative energy that no longer is serving and supporting you, that kind of thing, as a way of kind of protecting yourself, kind of shielding yourself. You know, you can call on the angels to kind of shield you and protect you in that regard too. And with that, you know, we always call on Archangel Michael to kind of, you know, protect us, keep us in an energetic space of protection. So I'm just seeing that kind of energy. But we could also ask for, you know, our environments to be protected in the same way. So it could be, you know, protecting Mother Earth. What do we need to know? How can we have, you know, energetic protection for Mother Nature, Mother Earth? You know, how can we protect our own personal environments, keep those safe? How can we, you know, keep our animals safe? That kind of energy. So I'm just seeing that. So not just ourselves, not just our own energetic fields, but how can we maybe, you know, clear negative energy from, you know, the animals that share space with us, you know, our own natural environment, you know, and then, you know, take that the next step out. So we look at our own personal space and then we go one step further out. You know, maybe there's local a local natural space like a park or something that may need some sort of protection or, activism, to kind of keep it the way it is, and seeing that kind of energy, and then maybe going one step out, so start with your own space, and then how can you, take that and let that energy ripple out, because I'm seeing a ripple effect energy kind of thing going on. So how can we do that? But with that, bringing it back down to what I said originally. So for some of us, it could be like the fairies are calling you to work with them in a more way. So it's very interesting. So we have this week a very powerful week of working with our archangels, working with the ascended masters, and working with the fairies this week. So this has been the 3-card reading for the week, and so now we're going to shift gears and round things out with a card from the Archangel Power Tarot cards. And now I'm turning my attention to the Archangel Power Tarot cards, and I'm going to let this serve as the final advice from the angels for this week. So I'm taking the deck in hand and I'm shuffling the cards. And I'm asking the question, what do we need to know as possible final advice for the week? I'm going to pull this card. This card stuck out. And the card is Page of Ariel. I love this as a final card because it is closely aligned with the card that started things off, which was teaching and learning. So the Page of Ariel in tarot is known as the student or the scholar card. So we have teaching and learning at the beginning, and we have learning. So the beginning of the week, the energy of, or the foundation for the week was, what is each experience that you're having this week teaching you? What are you learning from it? And then the Page of Ariel is asking you the same thing at the very end. So it's about taking the lessons that you've learned. So here's where there's a little bit of a difference. It's about taking the lesson that you've learned and practically applying it to your life. Because the suit of Ariel, and it's very nice because I had mentioned Ariel with the fairies card, so it's nice to see Ariel coming back into the picture, so to speak. But it's all about practical application. That's what the suit is about. It's about getting value from the experience, because the suit of Ariel is all about what we value. Everything in this world, everything in this physical world, since we're talking about it from Ariel's perspective, everything in the physical world has some sense of value. So everything that you have in your own personal environment, and there's no mistakes why I say the things that I say, now I understand, because I talked about your personal space and your personal environment. Everything in your personal environment has some value. You paid something for it. So that was the first sense of value. It cost something. It had a certain value attached to it that you agreed upon when you bought it. And then once you put it in your space, it now has served or formed some different type of value. It could be sentimental value. It could be, some form of functional value, like it serves a purpose or a function, so that it has value in that regard. If it was a gift given to you from somebody else, there is that emotional value, that sentimental value that I was talking about before. But everything in your own personal space, in your own world, has some sense of value. It's just a matter of you determining what the value is, and going back to the Clear Yourself card, if it still has any value, because that may be where the clearing comes in. We could actually maybe needing to take the time to clear our own physical space, because now I'm seeing Archangel Jophiel, who I know as the Feng Shui angel, and she's all about clearing your space. So it could be that kind of energy as well. And since I had mentioned, because Archangel Jophiel is still here, since I mentioned clearing yourself or becoming more clear on yourself too, when we're working on releasing negativity, one way to do that Archangel Jophiel offers is about how can we have more positive, loving, beautiful thoughts. And so it could be like maybe part of the clearing process would be about how can you clear your mind of the negative thinking. And so it could be like taking the challenging thoughts and maybe how can you reframe it in a way that is more positive, loving, and beautiful for you, because it's occupying your headspace. So and I just said headspace. So how can you work on maybe helping you beautify that space? Because actually it's your headspace that helps create your reality. Because remember I said about changing your thoughts, changing your world, that kind of thing. So Archangel Jophiel popped in so I could say that. But yes, but the page of Ariel is all about what's the value of the lessons that you're learning and how can you practically apply them to your life. So now, that's, generally speaking. It could also be like, again, going back to the teaching and learning thing, is that, there may be people watching this video who are actually embarking on, a course of study. So it could be like you may be called upon to learn something and it may require you to go to school or, some form of educational process. That's a learning type of thing. The other thing that with Page Ariel, and this is again a personal thing for me, whenever I see that, when we're talking about working with or connecting with our angels, our guides, the ascended masters, the fairies, whatever that is for you, whoever you are connected with, energetically speaking, it's all about paying attention to the signs. So the Page Ariel for me is all about omens and premonitions. So I just call that like looking for the signs. When we're asking for the angels and our guides to give us a sign, that is our request. And then we have to put ourselves on notice. We have to start paying attention to what is going on around us, because everything then becomes fair game for the angels and the guides to send us a message or a sign that way. And in that regard, Page Ariel is a card of focus and concentration. What are you giving your focus to? What are you concentrating on? What are you paying attention to? And that could also be with your form of study. It could be like you could call upon Archangel Ariel to help you with your focus and your concentration, because there may be people who, need a confidence boost when it comes to taking on courses of study and being a student. They may say stuff like, oh, well, I'm not a reader, or, I have a hard time reading material, or have a hard time focusing and concentrating, or I'm not really great at taking tests or exams. Then you could call upon Archangel Zadkiel to help you with the learning process. You could call upon Archangel Raziel to help you with memory. I believe it's memory. You could call upon Archangel Jeremiah to help you with, taking exams and examination, because Archangel Jeremiah popped in and I see Archangel Jeremiah with that kind of energy. But also to call upon Archangel Ariel to help you become more confident in your role as a student, because pages represent new things, new learning experiences, new roles we're adopting. And so, if that's a new role for you or you haven't done it for a while, then you may feel like you need a confidence boost, and Archangel Ariel can help you, raise your confidence about, being a student and being enrolled in that process. The last thing I want to say about the Page Ariel, in terms of what I said over here with the fairies card, and about maybe studying to be a fairyologist and giving fairy card readings, this for me is a card of a card reader. So again, there's maybe a call for a person or persons watching this video to maybe really consider working on the path of becoming either an angel card reader, a certified angel card reader, or certified fairyologist and giving fairy card readings, whatever it is for you. Could even be tarot, becoming a tarot reader, and certified or not, but the idea here is about maybe considering that as something you're being led to do, and how can you move more into that if you're just starting out, or if you've been down that path for a while now, how can you deepen your study? Because this card could be just about you deepening that study. But again, I just love how it kind of like is a bookend for the teaching and learning card that we started things off with. And as I'm saying that, I'm getting one more thing, and it's connected to the fairies card. I talked about the fairies card being connected to the material world and material resources. So some of us watching this video may be wanting to look at the way we are experiencing money, our relationship with money, because that would be another thing that the fairies are, wanting to help with. And especially if you're having some negative challenges with that. And so once you clear yourself, you can kind of pave the way for the fairies to come in and kind of help you work with that in a a new and better way. And then the page Ariel in that sense is a representative of like learning something new in connection to money. So it could be like you learn something about the way you've been handling money, the way you've been experiencing money, and it's about maybe learning a new way to practically apply your experiences with money, like whatever it is that you're learning about money in a new way. It's about you moving that forward and practically applying that. So I'm seeing that. The last thing we can do, because pages for me represent news or messages, I'm going to draw one more card. So I'm shuffling the deck once again, asking what the message card is. Oh, and this card stuck out. So let's look at that. It is the 10 of Raphael. So the 10 of Raphael is a card of, typically it's a marriage and family card. So I'm seeing that. But in the context of what we've been keeping with it, with the Ascended Masters, with the angels and the fairies, and I will say, and the reason why I'm going with this is because on the card is a rainbow, and so for me the rainbow represents all the angels working together. You know, when I first came in contact with working with angelic energy, the angels showed up in a dream, and so when they showed up in that dream, they weren't like beings with wings. They showed up for me as shafts of light, and each angel was a different colored light. So that's how I first experienced angels. And then when they started coming to me more often, then they started looking like beings with wings. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Most often, going with the Raphael energy here, is I feel them. So it's not necessarily like I can see them, but I can feel their presence. And so they let me know that, you know, with physical sensations in my body, especially in my head, there are certain tingling sensations that I experience to let me know that they're around. So I'm just saying that because it kind of fits with my own personal experience with the angels. So the reason why I'm saying all that is 10 of Raphael, in addition to being the marriage and family card, can be all about like emotional success, moving into a space where you reap some emotional rewards, but it could also be about like spiritual growth. So I'm just seeing that as whatever the lessons that we are experiencing or going to experience throughout this week, just remember with the 10 of Raphael, it's all about helping you grow spiritually. The 10 in tarot numerology for me represents transition, and it represents completion. And going with the transition, it represents a transition from one stage or level moving up to the next stage or level. So that's where that kind of meaning for the card for me comes from. So I'm seeing that as the final message for the card. So this has been the angel card reading for the Oracle Outlook for this week. I am James Himm Mitchell. I'm signing off, and I want to thank you for joining me for this week's reading and sharing this space here with me. I hope this reading was helpful to you. I hope you got something out of it. Even if you only got one message out of it, that was a message that was for you. And so I hope now that you take whatever that message was for you, and you take this week to let that be the opportunity for you to practically apply that message to your life. And so now I'm signing off, and as I sign off, I'm wishing you a wonderful day. I'm hoping you have a wonderful week filled with many angel blessings, and until we get together in the next video, take care.